Hello and welcome. This is Japan, and it is my favorite time of the year, Money in the Bank. Now, out of all the PLEs, other than maybe like Royal Rumble, this is just my favorite. This sets up just so much fun stuff. I just, yeah, it's just there's so much as long as you don't have a first night cash in, which honestly, I think way the storylines are and who's in this bank, I can't really imagine anybody being cashed in on tonight. Obviously, that being said, there is no women's champion that's available, so the women definitely are safe. And the men's, honestly, it's not a bad idea to cash in on because both champions are in the ring, but I don't see that necessarily happening here. So we're going to jump into it. This one's going to be a prediction video, obviously, and we're going to do the first two regular matches, and then we'll jump into the Money in the Bank matches because I think they're a little bit harder to necessarily pick, and I think the men's is a little bit complicated. Obviously, the women's also is, but we'll see. So let's start off with Lyra Valkyrie versus Becky Lynch. Now, honestly, this is kind of one of those weird matches that I just do not know what's going on because obviously Lyra winning here is a good idea. She's been a great champion, and I think this is a really good feud that they've had. But I also am a little concerned that like what feud happens after this for Lyra. Like I don't know if she really could have like another top tier feud after this. Now, there's obviously two trains of thoughts to me. My personal feeling is Lyra wins here, retains, and then drops the title to like Stephanie Vercourt or to Roxanne Perez at Evolution. I think one of those two going into a program with her would be really good. I think Roxanne Perez obviously has taken the NXT title off of Lyra Valkyrie. Is that the yeah, that is the way that it went. I couldn't remember exactly how it went. But yeah, there you go. That is an exact way you would want to do it for that, and it would be a good call. And if they did that, they could obviously have Bailey come in and try to save Lyra at the end of this match or during the match, and Bailey coming in could cause her and Becky Lynch to have a good match at also Evolution. So all of that would be the perfect storm. Obviously, there's some speculation if Lynch loses, she can no longer challenge for the title as long as Lyra's champion. I think this is just to kind of, I don't know, honestly, just to put some extra stuff on it, but I don't think it really matters. And if Lyra loses, she'll be forced to raise Becky Lynch's hand and acknowledge that Lynch is the better woman. Honestly, that's the only reason why I thought maybe there's a chance that Becky wins because of like all of that type of stuff. But again, I still think the ending is the same way. I think if Becky Lynch wins here, then Bailey faces her at Evolution for the title, which would be great. And if not, I think like you get two matches by keeping Lyra as champion. So I'm gonna go with Lyra retaining here, and yeah, I think that would be a good ending to it all and a good feud, and it would allow Lyra to have a pretty solid first run at this IC title. If she retains it all the way to Evolution, where she could lose it to somebody else that could also make this title really good too. Then we have, which will probably be the main event. It could actually probably be the men's ladder in the Money in the Bank match, just because of Chad Gable having to pull double duty. But it's Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. I don't really see any other way, but I think this is Cody pinning John Cena. I think like that's the easiest way of saying it. I think Cody beats John Cena. He pins him, and then it allows him to challenge John Cena at SummerSlam for the title or something like that. I'm not really sure exactly where they're going with it. I don't think either. Definitely Jay can't take a pin here. I think Logan could possibly take a pin, but I don't think it would be really any point of putting him in this match if he's just going to be the pin taker. And obviously, Cody losing clean to John Cena or to Logan Paul also just seems like a very dumb idea. So I feel like that's the easiest thing to do is having Cody Rhodes pin John Cena, win the match, and then set up some type of rematch coming up at SummerSlam. I think that'd be the best match that is available for John Cena, even if more than likely it's going to be John Cena retaining. I think this match itself will be pretty okay. I really don't see it other than Cody and Jay winning. But I guess we'll see how that goes. Then let's get to the Money in the Banks. I don't even know which one I want to start with because there's just so much to say. I guess we'll start with the women just because it's here. It's Alexa Bliss versus Roxanne Perez versus Rhea Ripley versus Julia versus Naomi versus Stephanie Vercourt. Honestly, this is one thing that I've never had in any match, let alone a Money in the Bank match. I honestly would love it if any of these women won. It is crazy that's how stacked this field is. That any one of these six women that win, I'm perfectly happy with. I've had it where I've had like, well, I like some of these and some of them. No, no, every single one of these has a great reason to win and a great thing. So let's go from least likely to likely. I'm gonna be kind of off the gun doing this because there's a lot. So I'm gonna say, unfortunately, the least likely person to probably win it is Stephanie Vercourt. Now, I could be completely wrong, but obviously she just got called up to the main roster. I think she has a little bit of stuff going for her. Um, that's in the future. I think she's going to be feuding with some bigger and badder people coming up. So I think that would probably put her in a non area that she'd be winning. Plus, having that double duty in the day, I don't think she wins here. I think she'd be a great candidate to win it altogether because of how young she is and like being a rookie. I mean, I would say young, but she's not like super young, but just like that she's a rookie and that having the Money in the Bank would be a really cool idea. I just don't see her really like having a feud with either Io Sky or Tiffany Stratton. That would be as scary. I think Stephanie's one of those people that would like cash in like ahead of time to get be part of a match. I don't really see her, doing anything too crazy with the briefcase. Next up, I'd probably put towards the bottom would be Julia. Nothing against Julia. I think her destination is to defeat Zelina Vega for the U.S. title, and that's the only reason why I have her down towards the bottom. I honestly think her and Stephanie honestly have like about the same odds. I only put Stephanie a little bit lower because she just got called up, and I feel like they probably don't have an idea exactly what they're doing, but it still could be a possibility. But I think Julia doesn't win here because she's going to win the U.S. title at Evolution, which is still a pretty good consolation prize and a pretty cool thing to be in a Money in the Bank match on your first year. And to finish out that, I would probably put honestly, I probably would have Alexa Bliss as next. Nothing against Alexa Bliss, but she's going to have championship matches, I think, this year, and she doesn't need the belt or doesn't need the Money in the Bank. Now, I would only think that her chances and everything goes up higher is if she's in the Wyatt Sick, because then they really do become a big boogeyman for even the women because all of a sudden that it could turn dark and then there's Alexa Bliss ready to cash in. So there's a lot that could happen there. So I kind of like that idea. Obviously, you know, it's not ideally the highest, possibility that you would want to put her in that position, but I think she's going to have a title match at the end of this year either way. So I think it wouldn't be necessarily a bad choice. Next up, I would have to go with Roxanne Perez. I think she has a pretty high choice chance being up there. Also with the whole being part of this like Judgment Day stuff, she does look very dangerous having that Money in the Bank and could really be positioned to do some damage because then maybe she wants to cash in on EO and that could bring in a lot of rivalries going in for Raw. Obviously, her and Tiffany Stratton have a little bit of history, so that also could be really good. She'd be a very good candidate because she's a scary person, especially with having the Judgment Day behind them. And obviously, Damian Priest was successful in his cash in, so the Judgment Day is 1-0. So I think that'd be a decent person. She's super young, so she's extremely talented, and that she has just a lot to give that whole Money in the Bank and the division everything in general. So I think it's a good choice. Now between the top two, it's kind of just what kind of story you like. Me personally, I'm gonna put Naomi at two. I think Naomi getting the briefcase is a dangerous, fun person to have who's been completely unhinged. And I think she'll get stopped by Jade Cargill at least once or twice, which will set their own rivalry up even higher to, when she's going to try to cash in. I think she's scary. She's a scary person to put the money in the bank for. Her heel work that she's been doing has been absolutely phenomenal. So Naomi would be my second best. It's just depending on what type of story you're wanting. I think Naomi at two is great. I mean, if you're gonna have somebody be successful, Naomi also would be a very good person because she's then built has a built-in feud with Bianca and Jade and all that. So all that's just really good story and long term. Sorry, I've been dying of a cold lately, so I'm a little bit having to drink some water here and there. So hopefully it's not too bad. But so that means that I have Rhea Ripley winning the whole thing. Honestly, the way that they had Rhea Ripley's character lately, with her being like, I guess, like immature or not taking everything so serious that she thinks she's unbeatable, this is the perfect person to have the briefcase because it will have to show maturity to either cash in at the right time or she cashes in way too soon and becomes the first person to ever fail. So I think either way, it's a decent storyline. I mean, if you're ever gonna have uh, anybody fail with the women's cash in, this would be a person that could do that and still make it into a good storyline. Obviously, with Perf coming up in October, it would make sense that Rhea Ripley's gonna probably be in the title hunt, and her having the briefcase could have her successfully cash in at some time and have her in there. Plus, her feud with Tiffany Stratton and Io Sky are really good. She is the best person in this match. So I'm gonna have to go with Rhea Ripley. It's probably not everybody's popular decision, but I like Rhea Ripley the most out of all the choices here. But like I said, I'm perfectly fucking happy with any of these people winning, to be honest, because everybody in this match is stacked. So let's get into the men's match. Now the men's match: Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and a Grande Americano. Just like the women, we'll rate them from lowest to highest on who I think is going to win, and we'll discuss everything. So I think the bottom person is Andrade. I mean, Andrade is obviously a great wrestler. I think he deserves to be in this match, but I think he's just in there to do some crazy stuff. But I think that's about it. I think he is my bottom person. Next up after this, it's kind of a little bit rough because there's a lot of people that have some different chances to win here. But I think Solo Sikoa is number five. I think it's cool that he made it here, but I think like his whole feud with Jacob Fatu is going to be the bigger, maybe even SummerSlam storyline. Obviously, they're going to maybe have the deck stacked against everybody else if everybody comes down here in the bloodline to even the odds. So that could be an interesting thing. That we could see a lot of craziness. Maybe even Seth Rollins guys come down. I think there's going to be a lot. I think they're going to have a lot of interference in this match. So I think Solo Sikoa is at five. Then after that, I don't know, honestly. I feel like LA Knight with the briefcase would be not a bad idea. Penta also. Um, Maybe I'll put Penta next. I don't think it's necessarily a bad person, but I think Penta and El Grande Americano are in the middle areas right here. Grande Americano is going to make the match look good, but I don't think really deserves to have the briefcase. In Penta's case, I think he deserves to have the briefcase. I just don't see them putting the briefcase on him. So I guess that leaves LA Knight and Seth Rollins. Now, I think LA Knight's going to probably win it, but I'm hoping it's Seth Rollins. I think Seth Rollins with the briefcase is a scary SOB with it. Like him and his faction and all that would be good. Now I could see CM Punk coming down there and costing Rollins and them setting up a little bit more of a match later on, but I think it should be Seth Rollins. I think he has the deck. He has a bunch of people. I think he should be the one that wins it. So I guess I'm going personally. I believe it's Seth Rollins, but I think it's there's a good chance it's LA Knight. But I guess I'm 50-50 on it. Me personally, I guess my final decision with all everything, it's Seth Rollins, even though he's a good shot he's going to be taken out by CM Punk. But if that doesn't happen, I say he's going to win it. Even Roman Reigns could come back and cost him the match. But yeah, those are my Money in the Bank predictions. A little bit wild, I guess, and some of it. I think the regular matches are pretty normal, but I think with obviously the two Money in the Bank matches, a lot can happen. This women's one is just way too stacked to really know. And the men's, I think, just has a lot of people that could use it, but I don't think it's necessarily a must. But I guess we'll see what happens this Saturday. Don't forget, Worlds Collide's also there, and there'll be reviews of both of those on Sunday. And if you like wrestling content, this is a nice home for that. Daily wrestling content every single day with some type of video, if not two videos a lot of the times. So check that out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.